Hey guys, so today I'm going to be replanting this ivy into the soil I grow stuff in. Right now it's in soil with perlite, but I'm not exactly sure of what kind of ivy this is. I bought it at like Myers or Walmart, but I'm not sure what it is, and it would be fine for anything like snakes or my gecko, because my gecko's a crested gecko and it eats a fruit mix rather than insects. So anything that I wouldn't be worried about insects eating it and then a lizard or something eating those insects, then it would be fine with. But any herbivores or anything like that, then I'd be worried about. So it'll just be fine in my terrarium, but I have to get it out of this pot and I'll be replanting it in a bigger pot with my dirt, and so then I can make sure there's no bugs or anything. So right now I'm gonna just try get it out, and it looks kind of root bound, so I'm going to be getting off all this dirt, and I may split it up depending on how it is. I'm not exactly sure how this plant is, so we'll kind of be figuring it out. Like with a pothos, if there was a pot with like pothos, which is devil's ivy, and as far as I know, that's not super edible for animals. So, and I have that in my gecko's terrarium. But I'm just gonna be getting all this dirt off, just in case there's any kind of mites or anything in the soil. I want to make sure I get that off or out. And it looks like I'm gonna be able to break this up a ton, because each one of these little things has like roots. As you can see, it's not staying in like one thing, it's just kind of breaking apart. So I'm gonna speed this up for you. So what I was saying earlier was any lizard that would eat insects and the insects would be in its enclosure that it would eat, I wouldn't put this in. Or any herbivore, I wouldn't put this in, because I don't know what type of ivy it is and it could be dangerous. Okay, so I have a much bigger pot here that I had aloe vera in before I put it in the iguana's cage, and I have this thing, so I'm gonna make a drainage layer using some stone that I think I'm just gonna scoop out with this. I don't know if you guys can see over here. I have some stone. I keep materials around my room for different projects, like this one, but these stones are kind of small, so. It's a bit of a predicament. Oh, okay. Oops. I have some bigger stones over here that are like river rock, and I'll use those instead. I got more stones for my 75-gallon fish tank, because I'll have the ones from my 55-gallon fish tank. But I was gonna need more. So I'm gonna put this into here to keep it as a drainage layer. And then I will be adding the dirt that I have here. Now it's not actually, normally I'd have a mixture of topsoil or just normal soil and mulch, eco-earth, a little bit of sand, just different stuff like that. But this is just a mixture of topsoil and mulch and compost, so it should be good for the plants here, but it's not eco-earth, so I just wanted to mention that, because normally I use soil with eco-earth in it. So I'm going to put in a little bit just to hold this down, and then I'm going to put the plants in. Now I actually got 14 like little pieces of plant, so I'm going to put one decent sized one like this one into the water I have here with these snake plants, because I didn't know how to really grow these snake plants either, so I just put them in water and they've been growing really well. So I'm going to try to see if this type of ivy will just grow straight in water, because that's how my pothos grows, and these snake plants are growing that way as well. So we'll see if that works. Yeah, so now we'll see need to make sure they all are at the same level. But I'm just going to plant them together, and then I can split them up again when I replant them from this pot. I just want to make sure they're growing and everything and they're doing well. And then I might try to grow them in a way to grow up a background or something like that. They'd be really good for that since they're like vining plants. So as you can see, there's a few that are really long, and I'm trying to position those so they're coming out, so then they're not going straight up or anything. I'm just gonna plant them together like this. And this is just a leaf with things on it. Anyway, just gonna set this in here, and then I'm gonna surround it with dirt. I'm gonna try to prop it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to switch it around. Some dirt's coming through because the this thing down in the bottom isn't keeping it completely, but I'm gonna set this somewhere and then I won't move it, so it doesn't really matter. Since I have such a big light right here, I have a 4-foot shop light. I kind of have this whole shelf just for plants. Like I have my gecko's vivarium, which a vivarium is a terrarium that has stuff living in it, and obviously has the gecko living in it, so that's why it's a vivarium. And then I have my koi catfish aquarium, which is their breeding tank. And then I have these snake plants here. I didn't realize you couldn't really see those. Go up like that. I have these snake plants right here, and then I have all different kinds of plants I'll show you in a second. I'm just gonna get a little bit more dirt. I get this from a like a landscaping company my dad works at, and I'll go and get dirt for my terrariums there. But I'm gonna plant it just like that, and we will see how it goes, I guess. I can show you. Just like that. And it'd be perfect to grow up a background, like if I stapled it to a background just like that. I tried to get one of these pothos plants to grow like that, but I decided off of it, and then I just swirled it around this vine, as you can see right there. I swirled it around, and then that plant's growing really well. But I'm not sure where I'm gonna put this. I could put it back here, so it would get light from outside as well, which that's where these plants get light. Or I could put it up front. I'm gonna decide and then I'll show you. I generally don't like using pots because they have holes in the bottom, so you have to have like a plate under them when you water them. That's why pretty much every single thing I grow is either in a terrarium or is just grown in water in general. Now these aren't grown in water, but they don't have holes in the bottom either. But since of that problem, I just put it on top of my gecko's cage, so then whenever I water it, it'll just leach through into the bottom, and it's really close to the light, so I think it looks pretty cool, and I'll just have to move it every time that I do the gecko's cage, like clean it and feed him. But I'm sure it'll be pretty cool. Then if I make what I could do is I think I'm making a top for this tank, like just out of that stuff over there, just to make sure these guys have no chance of jumping out or anything. Then I'll just set it on that, and then that'll be fine as well. I just wanted to show you real quick in this video, I put these snake plants that I've had in a jar into this tank, or this vase, and hopefully they'll grow into these rocks, which should be pretty cool. It's kind of like a sand substrate. And then, like I said, I put the ivy right in between there in the water to see if it'll grow like that. I've also been growing these 2 bean plants. I'm wondering how big I can get them in my room. And I tried to grow lettuce, but again, it failed. And I put some snake plants into this filter. I also took out, I don't know if I showed this, but I took out one of the big bamboo plants, and I put it over here in this filter, which I thought was pretty cool. And I took out the pothos plant that was in there, put it in this filter, and that's what this is. This is actually like has a way big vine going down, which annoys me, but hopefully it'll start going good, and then it'll get big leaves like these over here, which these come out of this tank. They come out of there. I have tons of plants back there. That's like where I put little plants to start growing them, like pothos plants, and I have that big bamboo plant. And over here in my the wood that comes out of the tank, it looks like my pothos plant is growing a new leaf, and now it lost its original leaf, which you know, happens. And then my plants in here seem to be doing well, except I need to replant the ones that were there into somewhere like over here or over here where the pleco keeps rooting that, like unrooting them, so that's really annoying. And this terrarium's been doing super well. If we find any geckos in Florida that are invasive, or a Cuban tree frog, this is where those will be going. And that's not why I made this. This is actually my oldest terrarium, and I love it because it's just super old and just really aged. Like it's just tons of bugs in here. And then there's this new piece of wood. I took out a different one over this one, and I added this one because I like this more. And also I have a bamboo plant that's alive. As you can see, the little nub there, it's alive, but it lost its leaves, so I'm not sure, like, the iguana hit them off. So I planted it in this tank, and I'm hoping they grow back because that would be really cool. I'm also trying to revive a peace lily right here that I took out of the gecko's cage, and it looks like it may be because this leaf is still alive, but the other leaf it had died. So I hope it comes back because it could become really, you know, nice like this one, or like the other one in the gecko's cage that you can see right back there with all those little pieces of plant. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like it down below. If you have any comments or concerns, put in the comments below, and if you want more content, then subscribe. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.